students, welcome to Sastra Talks. I hope all of you are doing well as we are going on with the NEET Botany series and the important topics and the PYQs. So yesterday we learned about the PYQs and FAQs from the genetics chapter, the more weightage one. In today's video we are going to learn about the top FAQs or PYQs, like frequently asked questions from the ecology chapter. Why? Because after genetics, ecology is also one of the important chapter, right? So let's get into the topic. So what was the first question given from the ecology chapter in the previous years is a population with a high intrinsic growth rate exhibits which type of growth curve they are asking. Okay. So what were the options given were? They have given the options like J shape, S shape, linear and bell shaped. So in that you have to say that which type of shape is occurs in the high intrinsic growth rate. Okay. If you see not is a it is a growth curve, right? So normally growth curve means what? The population growth over time with the certain conditions, means with the limit resources, availability of the resources and environmental conditions. Okay, normally if we see here in the growth chart, you can see the two phases. One is exponential phase and another one is logistic phase. So if we see the exponential phase here, exponential growth shows the increase of the number of population, because exponential phase is normally shown when the resources are unlimited, means when the resources are available throughout the time, the population growth will show exponentially, whereas the logistic growth is seen in first of all in the logistic growth of the also the number of population will increase when the sources were limited, means when the sources were completed or like up to the mark, then they'll not show the growth rate, means they'll maintain the population. So this is the logistic growth here. So by this chart you can say that which one shows the high intrinsic growth. High intrinsic growth means which cannot be stopped. Okay, so the exponential growth phase obviously shows the high intrinsic growth rate here. So normally this exponential growth rate shows which type of curve? J shaped curve. So what is the answer here? First one is J shaped curve. Okay, so that is the answer from the first question. So you can say that option A is correct here. Okay, according to this growth rate. And here one point I want to tell you that what is this DN and DT are nothing but the number of population growth rate, the growth rate of the population according to the time. Okay, along with the time. So the exponential growth can be seen number of the growth of population according to time, whereas in the logistic growth rate you have to consider the resources also. That's why it can be considered along with the value of K, means variability of the resources. Okay, K means variability of the resources you have to consider here. So these two are the growth phases of people. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. What is the next question? Which one is correctly matched? So from this question they are asking about what is correctly matched in these options. Okay, what was the first option they have given is commensalism, and commensalism normally shows sea anemone and clownfish shows commensalism. Commensalism means what? Here we have to know what are these terms, then only you can answer, right? Commensalism means symbiotic relationship where one is benefited and the other is either harmed or benefited. Okay, commensalism is a situation where we are having two partners, in that one is benefited and other is either harmed or benefited. It is optional. So that is the commensalism. But according to the commensalism, what is the best example is cattle aggregate and cattle, there are like certain organisms and cattle, cows. Okay, so the sea anemone and clownfish are not examples of commensalism. Why? Because the sea anemone and clownfish, both of them are benefited, means they'll show the symbiotic relationship. That's why this is not. So this is the wrong option. If you move on to the second one, mutualism. Mutualism means what? Obviously in the mutualism system, both the organisms are benefited with one and another. Okay, so here if you see what was the example they have given here, orchid and bee. Normally orchid and bees are benefited with one another. Why? Because the orchids supply the nectar to the bees, means honey bees or something, whereas the bees will carry the pollen grains from these orchids to forward like to do the pollination process, okay, for the like that. So here the orchid is helping the bee, whereas the bee is helping the orchid. So the mutualism is correct here. Okay, we'll move on to the next option. We'll see remaining options also. What is the third option? Amensalism. So amensalism means what? Where one species is harmed or inhibited, another is affected. If you see the commensalism and amensalism, in the commensalism normally both of them are like either one of them is conformly benefited, like that. But in the amensalism, other is unaffected, but one is obviously inhibited or harmed. Okay, so normally for the amensalism, what is the best example is penicillin and bacteria. If you see that normally penicillin comes from a mold, when that mold containing penicillin enters the bacteria, that will kill the growth of the bacteria. Okay, so obviously the bacteria is affected here, but the penicillin is got like it got benefited. So amensalism is like that. But here the cattle, agret and cattle are not the examples of amensalism. Why? Because here both of them like it shows the friendship with the cattle. Okay, so next one, parasitism. Here they are showing what is a parasitism. Means what? We know that one organism lives inside the other to benefit, and it degrades the growth of the other. Means it will cause the any negative things to the host where it is staying. So obviously parasitism means you can see that the fevers, malaria, typhoid, all of them are like parasitism process only. But here what were the options they have given are algae and fungi in the lichens. But in the algae and fungi are nothing but they are symbiotic in relation, and both of them are like benefited with one another. So this is not the right answer. So here in this question, which one is correctly matched is the second option, that is nothing but the mutualism between orchids and bee. Okay, so like this, if you see the another options, you will get it one. And next question is from what was the topic? Yeah, the next question is from which of the following is a pioneer species in primary succession of rocks. Normally, what is a primary succession? It is primary succession of rock means where the soil is not formed. Okay, means like when you see the evolution process, how the sand, soil, and everything are formed. In here, excuse me. Normally in the primary succession there is no pre-existing soil, means the soil is not formed here. Okay, here they have given the options. You have to say that which one of these is following the primary, which one of these species is following the primary succession of rocks. Okay, so in this you have to say, for example, if you see here primary succession means I have already told you that there is no pre-existing soil. So if you see that mosses obviously live on the pre-existing soil or rocks, right? Whereas the lichens, if you see that lichens means nothing but algae and fungi. They normally algae and fungi are the organisms which were benefited, means algae depends on the fungi and fungi depends on the algae. So they don't need any soil or any rocks or something. Why? Because they show symbiosis. So lichens is the second option, whereas the third one is grasses. For the growth of the grasses, obviously we know they need soil, right? So grasses is also not a correct answer here. Herbs means the small plants, right? The small plants also need some soil or some rocks to grow. So this is also not correct answer. Why? Because primary succession means it does not show any soil formation. So here what is the correct answer is lichens. Okay, so why? Because in the lichens itself normally they'll show, if you see here we are having the two layers here, algal layer and fungal layer, right? And both of them are attached with each other and to the surface. Here they don't need any soil. If you see the structure here, they don't need any soil. Here also you can see the wood part. Means what they are doing, both of them are combining to form a layer actually. So that's why both of them are showing their friendship, and they are not depending on any other, and then they are the reasons to form a soil, and then obviously on that the mosses can grow. So here the option is lichens, and the option B is the correct answer here. Okay, so like that the lichens will show the primary succession on rocks without depending on the soil and etc. Okay, And next question is from okay, here they are asking which type of organisms. So what is the question here is which of the following is a detritivore. Okay, so here they have given the options earthworm, snail, termites and all of these. So what is a detritivore actually? If you see that what is a detritivore means the animals which feed on dead organic materials. Detritivores means the organisms which feed on dead organic materials. Okay, dead organic materials means decayed, like plants, animals which were killed and everything. Those organisms are known as detritivores. Here you can see that some of the examples of the detritivores. By this image you can guess the answer. So here like there are so many types of organisms which are known as detritivores. Okay, so first one here you can see earthworm depends on the plant decay and animal plants decay actually. Snail also depends on the plants, animals and sometimes decay also. Okay, termites means you know these beetles and everything, they depend upon the animal decays. Okay, plant decays and animal decays. So here you have to consider these, all of these are the like detritivores only. We'll have one doubt how the snail can depend. Why? Because snails also sometime normally they are herbivores, like they'll eat herbivores or omnivores like carnivores. But what will happen is sometimes the snails also depend upon the dead and decaying matter of the organisms. That's why they also come under detritivores at certain conditions. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. So what is the next question here? Okay, for first one is nothing but food chain. Here the question came from the food chain itself. They are asking the tropic level of in a food chain, the tropic level with a least energy means you know that we are having, there are 4 steps of food chain. Food chain means like primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers and producers, right? So there are four categories of organisms in the food chains, right? So what were they? Normally producers and then primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers. Means the primary consumers depend on the producers, secondary consumers depend on the primary consumers, whereas tertiary consumers depend on means secondary ones. Depend means they'll eat them and they'll grow. Okay, so like this the food chain will pass on like this. Okay, so if you see the option here, they are asking in a food chain what is a tropic level with the least energy, which these are all known as tropic levels. You have to say in these 4 levels which one is having least energy. Here by the image you can say that. Why? Because when we go on to the upper range, the energy levels will fall down. How? Because the highest level usually contains predators itself, like the tropical tertiary consumers are nothing but the predators which depend on the secondary or primary consumers. Okay, so here the predators need, like they lose their energy as like normally the levels lose the energy as they go up. Okay, why? Because the producers will have the more energy calories. Why? Because they does not depend on anything and they need they contain more energy. And like that, if we move on from lower to upside, the energy levels will decrease. Okay, so like that the energy flow decreases from lower to upper, means producers to the tertiary consumers. So here you can see that they have given it in the calories. So here you can say that according to the condition, the option was tertiary consumers. So the correct answer is which is having a lesser energy is nothing but the tertiary consumers. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question. What is the next question? Amazon rainforest is an example of. So here they are asking about the Amazon rainforest. Normally Amazon rainforest is nothing but, you can say that Amazon rainforest is an example of normally tropical rainforest. Why? Because it contains high temperature and humidity and everything normally. So according to this question, they are asking it is an example of biodiversity hotspot, endangered ecosystem, protected biome or in situ conservation site. Okay, sorry. So here they are asking which one of these is considered as a Amazon rainforest. Okay, so if you see here, normally Amazon rainforest is an example of biodiversity hotspot. First only I am telling the answer why I will say. Why? Because normally it contains a larger area. The Amazon rainforest contains larger area, and it is rich enough, it is having rich enough species, so many number of species, and high species number, and so many endangered species within it. That's why it is a best example of biodiversity hotspot where you can conserve. So like where there are so many types of species are conserved. Okay, that's why Amazon rainforest is an best example of biodiversity hotspot. Okay, that's it. We'll move on to the next one. What is the next question? Which of the following is most stable ecosystem? For here also they are asking about the ecosystems itself. So here they have given the options: desert, ocean, mountain, and forest. So in these four you have to say which one is the most stable one. You can see the options and tell why. Because in the deserts you cannot say it is a most stable one. Why? Because in the deserts the sand may or may not be there, and it does not contain a proper species. Okay, so you cannot say that it can be continuously like this, and it cannot contain the species maintenance. So this is not the most stable one. Ocean normally contains a stable one. Like you can say that another reason means ocean shows the vastness and continuous nature and depth. Actually, depth makes it less sustainable. If you see the oceans, they are very deep. Okay, so that because of the deepness they'll show some sustainability, like susceptibility to the dramatic changes like environmental changes or sudden changes. So, and another thing means they also have some stable abiotic factors like dissolved oxygen or liquid nature like salinity and everything. Because of that also they can maintain the ecosystem properly. So because of all these reasons, normally ocean is considered as the most stable ecosystem here. If we move on to the next ecosystems, mountain is also considered, but when the rain will come and everything, the ecosystem is disturbed here, like the forest also. That's why ocean is the best option which maintains the ecosystem properly. Okay, so second one is the right answer. And we'll move on to the next one. Here they have asked the question from biomagnification actually. Okay, so first of all we should know what is a bio. Here what was the question they have given is DDT causes biomagnification. Which organism will have the maximum concentration of DDT in a food chain? So here they are asking about, normally biomagnification is caused by the DDT, and in these organisms you have to say which is having the maximum concentration of DDT. Okay, in the food chain itself. Here I took the food chain of the oceans itself. Okay, if you see that there are so many types of organisms in the ocean. First of all water, and it also contains some amount of DDT. Then the zooplankton, small fishes, large fishes, and then fish eating birds. So it will go on from this level to this level, like producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. Okay, if you see, so in these you have to say which one will show more concentration of DDT. Okay, first thing, if you see that, I'll tell you a simple example. Normally there are two persons are there, like both of them, like one is a healthy food and one is a junk food. If you say that which one will get more diseases fast, means you can say simply that the junk food eating one. Okay, and another example is two persons are there. In that like a person eats weekly twice junk food, and the person eats weekly thrice, means 3 days or 4 days a week junk food. So in these two you can say which one will have the more diseases and infections, means the person who eats more, right? So like that only, means the person who is eating 3 or 4 days, like that only. If you see here, when we level up, when we go from the level up, obviously the higher one will have the more amount of DDT. Why? Because first of all, when the zooplankton or the primary consumers here, they were eaten by the small fish, so that small fish will get some amount of DDT from this, like zooplankton. So when these small fishes were eaten by the big fish, so they get both their water DDT and then the small fish one. So, and again these fishes when were eaten by that predators, obviously, so by crossing these three levels they'll get the more DDT concentration. Why? Because they are eating the last level one. That's why they absorb more amount of DDT into their body. So like that, if you see the options here, they have given 4 options: zooplankton, small fish, eagle, and phytoplankton. So in this you have to say which one is having more DDT. The last one which eats the fishes. Okay, so that is nothing but the eagle. So option C is the right answer here. So zooplankton or phytoplankton are the last ones, and the small fishes depend upon these two, and the eagle depends on the small fish. So eagle is the one which is having the high amount of DDT. Okay, so like that. And another thing is, first one is nothing but which gas is the major contributor of the greenhouse effect. Okay, not the first one, sorry. Like here they are asking which gas is the major contributor to the greenhouse effect. Okay, you have to say which is the main contributor, means the greenhouse effect is caused by which one of these gas. If you see the chart here, you can easily answer it. Here we are having the so many gases like nitrous oxide, methane, carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide. Sulfur dioxide is not there here. So in these four gases, normally you can say that which one is having more percentage. Obviously carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is the major gas which is a major contributor. So what is the reason also, I'll tell you why. Because the carbon dioxide is normally produced from everything in the environment. For example, if you see that primarily it is released from the fossil fuels like the decayed plants or animals like that. And another thing, the carbon dioxide is also produced when the deforestation is done. Why? Because that carbon dioxide is released from the plants itself. Okay. And another one is industrial process. Through the industrial process also carbon dioxide is released more into the atmosphere. So that's why in all these cases carbon dioxide is the main compound. That's why carbon dioxide is the main one which causes the greenhouse effect. So what is the correct answer here? Option C. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. So what is the next one? Here they have also asked about the atmosphere itself. So what is the question is the ozone hole. Okay, here they are asking about the ozone hole in the Antarctica is caused due to. So here they are asking the reason why the ozone hole is formed in the Antarctica. Okay, here they have given the options. CFCs means chlorofluorocarbons, SO2, PAN, and nitric oxide, like that. So they have given the gases. In these ones, which one caused the ozone hole? Okay, you have to say the answer. So if you see that normally what happens in the what happened in the Antarctica is normally, so like combination of the, like what they'll say, like if you see that when the combination of the human produced ozone depleting substances, like some of the substances, what they'll do, they'll create some type of like humans will produce some types of gases, no, like which were released into the atmosphere. What these gases will do means will decrease the temperature of the atmosphere. Means when these gases enter into the Antarctic atmosphere, they'll decrease their temperature. So that obviously you can see the deterioration and formation of some other compounds, like if you see that chlorines and fluorines and etc. are formed due to the pollutions that were created in the Antarctic region. So these chlorines and bromines and fluorines which were formed due to this depletion, what they'll do means when the primary spring summer will come in the atmosphere, when it enters, when the sunlight enters the atmosphere, obviously this chlorine and bromine which were like stocked and placed in the atmosphere, they will affect the ozone layer. Means they'll attach to the ozone layer and they'll deplete the ozone layer like step by step and step by step. So through that normally a hole is formed in the Antarctical ozone, like Antarctical region. So what is the right answer here is the, what I told you before, that what were the compounds that were released from the human things were chlorines, bromines and fluorines. No, in this option, in these options you have only one thing, that is nothing but CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons. So these are the compounds which were released from these human things like the vehicles or decay matters or something. So all these things will produce CFCs which will cause the depletion or hole in the Antarctic pole. Okay, like ozone hole. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. So what is the next one here is what is the percentage of solar energy that is captured by the plants in the photosystem. So here from this you have to say that we know that photosynthesis occurs in the presence of sunlight, carbon dioxide and etc. gases. So but here they are asking how much percentage of solar energy is captured. If you see the image that here, normally here you can see that image where the sunlight is used in a different types of ways, like the sun energy, like the solar energy is used by the plants and everything. But according to this, what is the percentage is normally, if you see that roughly, normally if when the scientists like calculated, normally roughly a plant needs 1 to 5% of the polar energy to undergo the photosynthesis. Okay, but sometimes or sometimes like when the photosynthetically active radiations enter the plant, photosynthetically active radiations means which were helpful for the photosynthesis process, means like for the chloroplasts and everything. So when those radiations will like were what they'll say come from the sunlight, like through the sun, obviously it absorbs more sunlight, means it needs more energy. Like normally it is 1 to 2% or 1 to 5%, but when it comes to the photosynthetically active radiation, it increases up to 10%. Okay, it depends on the conditions, like if it occurs naturally means it needs like 1 to 2% or 1 to 5%. But when it is like when it is about having the PARs, means photosynthetically active radiations, it can show up to 10%. But here they are asking only normally the solar energy percentage, not the photosynthetically active radiations and everything. So here you can answer that this is the D is the right answer here, means normally 1 to 5 below 5, that's why you can consider mostly the D option. Okay, so that's it guys. So these are all the questions that came in the before papers of the previous papers of a NEET exam. So along with that, I hope all of you understood all these things, and if you have any doubts, just comment me in the comment section. And I want to inform you another thing. In the next video, we are having the less time, we are having some last minute NEET boost, like which will include some of the important topics. Okay, what were they were like the human reproduction, means male and female. Why? Because in the NEET exam you will get these images and everything from the human reproductive system, which you have to answer. That's why in the next video I will give you quick NEET boost up, not the so much time, so that you will understand the male and female reproductive systems in a diagrammatic way and you can answer it easily. And along with that, fertilization and implantation, pregnancy and everything. So these are all the topics that were covered in the next video. I hope all of you are waiting for this, and along with these, and you will have some must remember NEET questions from these topics. Okay, so why? Because this is also one of the topic, like these male and female reproductive system diagrams they'll give in the NEET exam, and this is also one of the important topic which is helpful for you to to gain more marks. Okay, so I hope you'll wait for the next video. Thank you guys, thank you so much. If you like my video, just stay on with the bio Sastra talks, and if you like think that it is useful for you, share with your friends, and if you want the more videos, subscribe to my channel by Sastra talks. Okay, thank you.